This is the tail end of the serpent culture site. And you see how it comes out this spring, how it's serpentine down through this valley in these hills. It crisscrosses back and forth like a natural flowing stream would. However, this has all been terraformed. This has been created this way. It comes right into this other creek here. That's pretty much a dry creek most of the year. It's a wet weather runoff, but this will flow as a wet weather spring. And it comes out of this ancient bowl or depression, sort of like a sinkhole area, where I'm going to take you and show you this ancient site. Hopefully, it's where I had a credible sighting of a figure that came into this open area where we were camped at back in these woods. And I thought it was a friend of mine. I thought he went over to take a leak using the bathroom or something. But anyway, this site where this figure, he was doing the whole shifting back and forth, left and right. And I was doing the same, trying to get a look to see who or what it was. But it was just this dark figure that transformed shape. Someone else has been back here too recently. Okay, and so yeah, it began to ran down through the campsite, and as it did, it got about 3 feet off the ground, completely levitated. Pretty cool arch there. I had a couple of birds announce my presence already, so we'll get on up here a little ways. Still yet to go. I gotta watch out not wearing my snake boots and snake guards, so I have to be careful and keep a watch out where I'm walking and watch instead of what I'm talking. It's easy to get sidetracked. And in here, it's also like just a couple 100 yards across the main road, not even that really, that I had my first dogman sighting. So you got a history of these shadow figures and Bigfoot running around an ancient cemetery here. Whew. I huffed it pretty good getting back in here. I will have to say that. So, if I see anything else, I'll try to point it out. It's hard to point certain things out to people so that they can see, like, out of place artifacts, or just like there's this hill over here. I call it a megalithic site, but what I found, even in other areas, what they'll do, they'll take stones. Even some of these are rather large stones, and they'll travel a great distance with them in order to pay their respects. It's a huge honor when they reach some of these ancient sites. They kind of like leave a sign of their journey there as a marker to pay homage and pay honor to really their loved ones and those of them that have gone before and passed on. I'm actually just, literally following sign. There's clues if you know what to look for. These ancient paths lead to ancient knowledge and even ancient treasure to be really to be discovered. There's so much that we don't know, and yet so much still that we need to know. This is always a tricky part right in here, where I had to cut back over this other trail. Really, I think might be a little easier going, smoother journey, the road less traveled, you know. That's the one I tend to stay on, the narrow path. But heck, we're about to get in here to this site. And of course, I'm always looking for ground sticks, you know. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you do come upon one or two or three, you know, 4 back in here. It's always tricky when you get back in these spots because so much of it is still yet unknown and undiscovered about them. But this is it. This is the big serpent culture. This is the egg effigy. This opening in the ground, sort of like a portal. You can see where when it fills full of rainwater, how it flows right through here. It'll form a serpentine path down through here, and you can kind of see how it cascades. Now here, sediment and debris, leaves and everything have kind of look like deer tracks there, has kind of set in, but you can follow the path down through here, and when you get right on down in there, it starts to get a little more rocky where the stones have actually been set to create a ripple effect. Just like when the water flows over them, it leaves behind what looks like a serpent that is moving across the surface of the ground here, and it's like it's entering into this hole into the underworld, which is ceremonial of, you know, a lot of primitive, or we call them primitive, so-called primitive ancient culture sites. Here's these old bottles that I first discovered here. They still had the styrofoam wrappers on them, so wherever they come from. This is Nathaniel. This is Scott. That's Becca. That's me. And this is where I had my sighting all those years ago. Right here in this spot where this ancient stone circle is at. And now these logs, they've been placed in here. There once was an incredible ground stick. It's still here. It's shoved like well over a foot down in the ground, this one here. And so I tried to demonstrate it, how it is that ground stick sign, you know, was placed here. And there were several more markings on up, and then you get on up on top. Good gosh, me and Janice Carter, we found in just a little 20 square foot area like 9 ground sticks. It's like, really, people, you all want to say that this is all natural, that this is just, you know, formed here coincidentally when you've got like an ancient ceremonial site? And last night was real significant for this place because where the sun or the moon rises, it rises on the equinox, and you can see a large mound of stone that is laid in around this area, almost like somebody was trying to dig a well or something in here. But I think it's just connected to this ancient circle. Now, we never did have a fire here when we camped here, and the fire that did come through that burned up like that tree right in there, it moved through here, this brush fire, forest fire, but it didn't burn inside the stone circle because the stones kept it from burning in there. So the fire, like the damage on that log there, fire damage, it came from actually being placed there, if you can imagine that. And then you got this stick leaning up out of it. But I wanted to come pay my respects and offer my, you know, peace offering to them, and just say a special blessing for them and gifting. You know, they've gifted me here with these bottles. Somebody has. It's funny that each person that's ever been here to this site, how it's representative of each individual, you know. it's things that you can't really make up. So we'll just leave them a little gift that Jim from Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot gave to me and Janice. So how about that? We'll just gift him a little offering there for him. And this site holds a special significance too, even a deeper sadness, because this is also the location where the police officer shot and killed the Bigfoot. And it was so unnecessary. I mean, he went back to the fire department, got their thermal imager, came back after he had the sighting, tracked it down, and then discharged his sidearm, you know. And it could have been anyone back in here. It could have been us camped back in here, you know. But this officer, you know, he's been indoctrinated that they're demonic and evil, and that they were Janoskwa, and that they eat little children because that's what his parents told him, not to go outside at night because the Janoskwa will get you. I mean, really, you know, there's old logs sticking up out of a stump. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. What about that? You reckon that's a ground stick sign? You reckon that's just from deadfall? Right up here, a big tree fell over there. Reckon that just planted itself into the ground. I don't know. Seems like it's pointing too, off down into the distance. We had one up here one day. It was funny. He was mimicking the tree blowing in the breeze. How they'll make that squeaking noise, like. And it just went on and on and on. Well, when we walked up on him, he of course got dead silent. And I said to Nathaniel, I said, look, is the wind not still blowing? How come we're not hearing this tree squeaking up here? And then we found this big butt print where he was, obviously had just been sitting there. If you go over there, there's some more marked grave site locations that Janice Carter discovered when she came here. And she was shocked because she's like, William, you mean to tell me you didn't know these were here? And I'm like, no, Janice, no, I promise you, I did not know that these are here. I was like, you know, I knew one of them, a more recent addition down near the road, but that wasn't what these were. These were, I think, much older, you know, family sites. The police, when we reported it, the sighting, they knew right where we were camped at back in there. And there's no camping allowed here, folks, so you know, you don't even need to worry about that. But we came back in here because I had the hots for this young girl from church I met, and I thought I'd take her up here and we'd just have the best time together alone in the woods. And I don't think it worked out that way. We never even got to have a first kiss ever. And we both were just terrified out of our minds. And so I'd found this perfect spot, you know, back deep in the woods. And several years had went by, and I thought, you know, I'm a good camp spot. We'll just go back in there. And the whole time, this other buddy of mine, he was experiencing the same thing that me and this date that came here experienced. Just this, what he called something like pure anxiety is what he described it as. And he said he felt like he was going to get caught back in here, that the park rangers or somebody was going to come in here and run us out. So we didn't have a fire and had a real low observant campsite back in here. And we actually moved a lot of these big logs with the bumper of my truck. We tied ropes to them and moved them all around. Well, to make a long story short, we came back up here after reporting it to the police, finding out they told us that we were camped in that old graveyard. We thought that they were meaning the cemetery down the road about a mile from here, but no, that wasn't what they were talking about. I didn't discover that this was an ancient Bigfoot ceremonial grounds and gathering until several years later, after 2016 even, when I became a believer in Bigfoot after a sighting at Bald River Falls. So it's incredible, really, just to be out on a day like today and to get to share in some of this ancient knowledge and history, as well as, you know, the foretelling of even the future, you know, prophetic events. These energies are not only psychologically impacted from history and the events that have occurred here and the traditions and everything connected with this serpent culture. There's a lot of reasons why they choose sites like this, whether it's, you know, the Earth's own energetic fields and energy, but these sites are highly charged and they bear some effect on your psyche. I mean, I admit I was, you know, scared too that night that I was here with that girl, even though I was trying to be brave and not let the fear show through. And I mean, we about both lost our minds. I could not find the way out of this place. And even when that friend of mine and I came back to revisit the location of the sighting where this Bigfoot not only levitated, but it started to break apart in these geometric shapes, we could not find this place. We searched and searched and searched and searched. And he said, man, it's just like some portal opened up and just swallowed the earth whole, and this site's not even here. But we later found it. I mean, it wasn't nothing like that kind of a thing, but it did make you begin to feel that way towards it. I mean, it was just so different looking than when we were back in here camped. Now, these logs that you think are just deadfall, remember, we moved them. We cleared this whole site out. See how those 1, 2, 3, 4 logs are parallel to each other? That wasn't there before, and the thing is, it was there the first time when I came in here, and then we disturbed everything, moved everything, and then it was more than like 20 years later, come to find out, when I came back, everything was put back the way it was before when we had moved these trees in here. So I don't move them no more. I leave them for them, and it's sort of like gathering locations. I mean, you can just imagine these being like the church pews on a Sunday filled with churchgoers, and you know, it's the Bigfoot at their gathering locations, and the ground stick over there marking a significant spot obviously to them. And this whole site, you know, ceremonial site and culture site back in here, I'd say there's only a handful of people that even know about it, because this area, you know, it's known for other stone circles that really are sort of like the ancient Greece, the symbol for infinity and the serpent eating its tail. There's a lot of cross-cultural significance to not only ancient cultures and peoples throughout time and history, but the connections to these locations. And some of these places were mined in ancient times, and they were discovered. You know, we're told, oh, there's no need to go out searching for anything because everything is already known, everything's been discovered. Like, how's that for deadfall? That limb there stuck down in the ground. I mean, you know, you see stuff like this, and it's just really, really incredible signs and wonders. And, you know, bit of stick just, you know, happened to fall here. And see if I can show this one to you so you'll get an idea of what we're talking about here, people. I mean, look at that. It's just incredible. And to think that this ground, if you can imagine, even just putting that back in, I could feel it, you know, the gravel in the ground, the rocky terrain, this quartz and stuff that's in here. It's just incredible. Incredible place to be and to get to visit and really have a connection to it and to be a part of it. Oh, look, that green bottle's broken. I wonder if that has some significance there. It actually had Mountain Dew in it still from the 80s. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. And this right here, it looks natural. I don't know that it is. It might be naturally growing there, but sometimes they'll take and make ground sticks like that. Looks like a deer or something's been down in here scraping around, probably looking for leftover caches from the squirrels that hide them away, and tree nuts and different things. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll get to share it and upload it and talk to you more about my levitated Bigfoot sightings that I've had. I mean, people can't explain why, you know, you come across a set of foot tracks and then they just suddenly disappear. It's like, okay, did it go through a portal? Did it run through? Well, I mean, all things are possible to them that believe, right? I mean, after all, I mean, you see one whose feet aren't touching the ground. You come across footprints in snow that just suddenly disappear, and you can tell that it didn't, you know, backtrack in its own tracks or nothing like that. And so, you know, when you see these things, you discover them, when you have that firsthand eyewitness experience with them, well, there's no longer that mystery that people have yet to still figure out. They've yet to discover it because they've not experienced it for themselves. That's the problem. You know, in order to believe someone else, you about have to see it yourself. And even when you do see it yourself, you question your own sanity even. You question what's real. It took us a year before we went and reported it to the police even. And when we did, we figured they'd still think we were drunk and high and crazy and on drugs or whatever else back in here. But no, they believed us, man. They knew without us telling them where we camped at. They knew the exact spot even, they told us. I mean, it's just incredible, really. I wanted to come back in here and look at the storm damage too, because last week they had a tornado come through here. So yeah, it's always good to try to familiar yourself with an area to know what's natural tree fall, which some of it is, and what's not natural tree fall, as some of it certainly is. So, you know, you see subtle signs of ground sticks that you know, like that one back there. I threw it up in the air way up above the top of the tree, and it actually landed and broke. It used to be a little longer than what it is, and it hit tip first, and the tip just snapped off. Like, it did not even go an inch into the ground to stick. And so the skeptic that was here with me, you know, one of them that the Coke bottle's representative of, he just shook his head. I mean, he did not have any explanation as to how a stick like that, you know, with the same weight of it and everything, could fall out of a tree and then go through the earth a foot deep through rocky ground. And his only explanation was tornado, maybe? I mean, I don't know. Well, I do know, because if you try to push one of those ground sticks in the ground, it will not go. But if you put a twist to it, or if you take even a little bit of water and pour in the hole once you get it started, it'll sink all the way in about as deep as you can push the stick. Like, if you just push with the same amount of force that you would normally try to push straight in, it won't go. It won't go 3 inches hardly, 4 inches. But if you put a little twist to it when you're pushing it in, that sucker will go right in. It'll go all the way down. I've gotten off trail here from where I wanted to be. This is part of the old trail in here, but it's all grown up. And so they've got a new path that cuts over into this here that's marked. You know, just follow the signs. Signs everywhere, signs. How's that for a sign? Literally a sign. Pulled up out of the concrete here. I don't remember seeing that before. All the way back here in the woods. Yeah. Yeah, that just fell here from a tree. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, even the ones that are rooted, I discovered later, after a lot of research and investigation, were actually ground sticks as well. So when you see these partly topped off broken trees, you know, these saplings, that's like a ready-made ground stick sign, man. It's like you ain't gonna do nothing to make it, you know. It's already made there for you. And there's been a lot of activity in here over the years from other groups. Look here, there's another one of those Mountain Dew bottles. Wow. Look, it's still got the old metal cap to it too. That actually might be Nathaniel's. That's interesting because his had a cap on it. Unless it's that one back there, it's broken. Yeah, they get them from somewhere. Who knows, man? I mean, good gosh. It's amazing, really. Somebody might have brought them in here and gifted them to them at that site. Even, I mean, pretty special if it is. Look, I'm following the same path in as I came in on. There's that flat top stone. Not quite the same way, but close enough. Close enough to it. Yeah. Well, fellas, ladies and gents, God bless you all, and thank you for watching the video, and thank you for this journey. I always said that if I ever did get married, I'd want to have the reception back in here. I used to come back here, man, run around, and I'd pick me up a Subway sandwich, and I'd hike back in here. Actually, at one time, I would drive back in this road here, and I'd go out in this field and sit and eat my Subway sandwich. There's actually some other grave markers out in here. This actually was an old homestead site at one time. This area actually was a little town back in here, believe it or not. I mean, they had their own churches and barns and cabins. I mean, it was a whole little town, whole little community. They had their own mill and grew their own crops, and then TVA came along, flooded the lake and ran everybody out, including these people up in here. Even though it was above the water line, you know, they still took all the land and ran everybody out in the community. Look at that stone. Yeah, it's a big old stone. How'd that get right there in the path, you know? You can see the size of it even. I've seen a ton of those today coming in here. I don't think the wind damage would have moved that necessarily, maybe. Who knows? Crazy. That's kind of stone right there that's up on top of that hill. It's like a big megalithic site where all this stone is really difficult to travel. Like, to visit that site, once you get up there on top, the rocks are all like big, you know, 2-hand size stones, and it's really difficult to even walk up it. And you find that significance there a lot with them. There goes something through the leaves running around from me. Chipmunk or something, but I'm just getting over the flu, and this is really the first time I've gotten out, so sorry I haven't made any other long-winded videos of anything. Yeah, neat little things, you know, neat little things. Look there, you can see where that one's been chopped off, even broken off or something somewhere. Maybe they've come through here riding horses and cleared it, cleared the trails, you know, for the riders. Yeah, I figure we'll head back down, and I still got to go to work tonight, so I've been up since early this morning, out running around, running the gun stores, shopping, and spending more money. More money you make, the more money they take, so might as well enjoy it, you know, where you got it. Get out and enjoy life too, and you know, I encourage you, just about anybody, while you're able to. I know I've put on some years and not as young as I once was. I wished when I was younger I wasn't such a skeptic, man. I wish I could have got out and done this in my 20s even, you know, being a researcher and an investigator and a boots on the ground kind of guy, and get out and like to explore. I just like adventure. I like having fun, you know. They used to call me Crazy Dave even. They said, "Where's the old Crazy Dave at? I miss the old Crazy Dave times," you know. And I was like, I was just fearless. I really didn't have any concept of danger or anything like that. And I don't know, maybe it's a good sign that you see ground sticks letting you know that there are those ancient watchers still keeping watch over humanity and over those that aren't quite as, you know, more prone to accidents. I know I certainly was growing up. Good gosh, I had so many NDEs and so many times experiencing just really incredible things throughout my life. And I think a large part of it, they were a part of it too, because looking back, really, they were there from the beginning, probably before I was even consciously aware of them, you know. Even around the time that first sighting at 6 years of age, and even after that, several sightings. There's that chirpy bird up there. That's the one that greeted me when I came in today. Well, God bless everybody, and you guys have a glorious, glorious day.